stream. Chala, head chala. Hey, what's up? That's not how I usually start streams now, is it? Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another live stream, another episode, another edition of LSM Monday here on Laughingstock Media. How's it going? And I am welcoming all of you to the stream, all you guys and gals who showed up very early here today, as it is time for us to discuss a number of different topics. And by a number of different topics, I mean whatever I happen to think of along the way. Here on LSM Monday. Hopefully I'm not destroying your guys' ears hitting my microphone like that for all my headphone users. Rest in peace. I feel just as bad for you as I feel for the people who do drinking games when they listen to my videos. And it's like, well, let's take a shot of really hard liquor every time Mike talks about a video in the top right corner, which is actually over here because it's mirrored. And yeah, if you do that tonight, well, I do not take responsibility for your actions that make you end up in the hospital. But okay. So let me welcome all you who are in the chat. Let's get those likes up too while we're here, because that way, more likes we get on this stream, the more promoted it's going to be and the more people will be able to see. I'm trying to do my best to rhyme along with the rest, because it's going to be on the test. But who's administering it? That's a question I don't know. But yeah, I noticed one of the things, even when I watch streams myself, is that unless I'm subscribed to a channel, I very rarely will see that channel stream appearing on my home screen or something else right when they start. It tends to be like an hour plus into the stream. So that's kind of something that I've come to notice over time. But yeah, let me take a look and see who's up here right now. So Big Cheese Jr. How's it go? Brett Shell, how are you doing? Scene, I think. What's up? Daniel Santiago Hurtado, ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? Brendan Jackson, Kid Buu solos. But who does he solo? Definitely not Harold. Harold solos. Even the soloers. If all the soloers teamed up, Harold would still solo. Especially Han Solo. So you have no people. Han Solo. Yes, that makes total sense. This was written by a master film writer for sure. Kazi. Hey. I always see you comment on my videos. You just say hi. I don't know if it's because that's your gimmick or you just can't think of anything that you want to say beyond hi, but how's it going? Matthew Thompson. User Kaiser. Kaiser Seahorse? Rude Kaiser? I don't know. There's a million Yu-Gi-Oh cards I could reference here. Awe. True to Kaiser. It is Gear. Is that from... let me think. Is that from... I don't know why. Invader Zim. Isn't Gear the robot dog from there? Actually, I have my own animal companion showing up here for an early cameo on the stream. Hey. Yeah, he's won his attention already. He's already getting jealous that I'm talking to all you right now. Nix Hex, I think. My name is pronounced more like Jin, but pronounce it however you want. Also, there's Assassin. Yeah, fortunately I snooped out the Assassin. He wasn't sneaky enough for me. Harold has been training me to get some ear gains, so I can hear everything coming a mile away. Sometimes even more. Grr. Yeah, there we go. Sounds like what my dog used to say to me every day. Every time I go up to him and be like, hey, you want me to pet you? Grrr. And then sometimes he would do a lot more than that too. He was a very nice dog, as you can imagine. Oh, my name is a reference to Zane from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Hellkaiser in the Japanese, right? Like when he goes through the whole underground fighting arenas and starts using the electric shock collars and, you know, not to spoil Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, but let's just say his fate is very heart-wrenching. Oh, and somebody said it, Harold's favorite line. Let me see if I could do an imitation of Harold real quick, because you know I'm not Harold, obviously, which is, yeah, and you better subscribe. Enable those damn notifications. 32 people showing up here at the very start, waiting for more people roll into before we start to get into some of the higher tier discussions, let's say. Because I'm definitely getting into some interesting things along the way. That's the thing, I like to keep you guys guessing. Nah, I'm just jesting. I know, people keep asking me if I can rap. And I like to think the answer is no. But, you know, I've never really considered doing much if I were to do music. I didn't quite consider myself ever getting into rap. More, or like, even necessarily like DJing, electronic. More, you know, rock and metal. You know, I've always wanted to lead my own metal band. And, you know, I'd probably be a lot more experimental. So I'm sure I would incorporate certain things like that of different genres into it. Some electronic, maybe some rap, you know, like with, if I could do a collaboration with like Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, which that would never happen, but it would be cool. You know, let me actually show you guys on the stream, give you your, 15 minutes of fame, and by Frieza logic, that's gonna be like 12 hours of fame. I'm definitely not streaming for 12 hours tonight. That would take a lot. But let me switch over real quick and pop up that chat right in here. Probably I might even record a video today, guys. You know, that's something I've started to do, kind of combine multiple different things with this channel and with my live streams. Maybe I'll record a video along the way too. You know, it's always easy to get that in the way and out of the way simultaneously. But why can I not show? There we go. That's not correct. Oh, I have to pop out the chat. You know, you're seeing Boomer Mike here in full effect, even though I'm quite younger than the Boomer generation. You probably wouldn't guess by my my manly facial hair and all. Here we go. Perfect. Now let me show you guys. Nope, still not showing the right one. Here we go. Awesome. I don't know why I have to resize it every time. That's what she said. But anyway, let's keep going. Here we go. Question from Block. How's it going? Oh, hey, Xavier, too. I don't want to skip anyone. Greetings from Houston. I'll get to your question in a second. Hey, Houston, I stopped there like 3 times on my way to Dallas. I stopped there because my plane kept getting delayed. But yeah, you know, I enjoyed Texas when I was there. It was a lot of fun. There's one rapper in season 2 of the English dub of GX who voiced by the VA of Goku. Oh, you mean Sean Schemmel. I'm pretty sure Sean Schemmel does the voice of Crowler, or I believe it's Kronos in the Japanese. I've seen the whole series in Japanese. I only saw up to a point in English. And there's Kronos, and then there's the other one that's like the shorter one. And both of them, I notice, also have their own ending sentence inflections. I appreciate that, underlings. I'm doing my best to grow my channel to go even further beyond. I do it every single time, make sure to, I even have like a little banner up at the top right here, just to remind people, if you like my content, the thing is, like, sometimes you watch YouTube videos and you don't really even think about subscribing to a channel. It's kind of like something, oh, it popped up, I'll watch it, and then you kind of move on, and, your mind isn't necessarily like locked in as much as, let's say, a YouTuber or somebody like that. So, giving people a little reminder, if you subscribe, it helps the channel and you can see more content. And same thing with likes, the same thing with, sharing the video out. Because I actually see in my analytics, that's part of why I ask everyone, I actually see in my analytics on YouTube when a video gets shared out in the different platforms that might have been shared and stuff like that. So it's always pretty cool to be like, oh, somebody was sharing my video on Discord, somebody was sharing it on Messenger or text message or something like that. It tells me that the videos are kind of still alive in that sense. But yeah, somebody did ask me a question. Let me get back to it. So Block, you said, why couldn't Tien and Krillin bust Dr. Tro? Yeah, so this is interesting, actually. I've talked to people about this before. So you're asking, why couldn't Krillin and Tien break down Dr. Dro's door? Well, they could have, but the thing is, what they were doing is that they were using physical force. So they're trying to ram a door, which, was created by a scientist who was able to make androids stronger than Frieza. So I'm assuming it's a pretty strong door. And yeah, like, I forget who put it this way, but a good way of putting it, I feel like, is when you go to punch somebody or hit somebody physically, you like ram them. And, like you punch them, you put energy into that particular strike. So let's say that Vegeta, when he blasts the door, let's say that energy in that blast that he uses, that casual blast, boom, is the same amount of energy that Vegeta would expend in 100 punches or 1,000, right? Using energy blasts uses up way more of your stamina and ki reserve because you're taking all of that latent energy that would be utilized for you moving a punch or a kick or a throw or, something like that. And you're converting it all into a just tangible amount of energy, like a sphere or a bomb or a blast or something like that. And you're firing it out. So Krillin and Tien definitely could have busted through the door. I mean, Tien is able to hold back semi-perfect cell, right? So, like, obviously they could do that, but they would take a lot more time and effort to ram the door comparatively. Now, you can argue that maybe they could, like, infuse as much energy as in, like, 100 blast, or, like, in one blast into one punch, and, one punch! But, yeah. I feel like it's basically, they weren't trying to expend that much energy. But yeah, at the same time, you can argue that perhaps the physical strength of a Dragon Ball character is not going to match the output of energy blasts and destructive capability in that sense. Like, can Goku infuse a galaxy busting level attack that would blow up a galaxy into his fist and punch, I don't know, the earth, and then the destructive force would ripple out in effect to where it would destroy the entire galaxy? I mean, we do see him doing that with Beerus when he punches him, but does that necessarily translate to lifting feats? I think that you could make an argument either way, but, we haven't really seen them lifting crazy amounts of stuff in universe. Not just that, but additionally, like we see in the manga of Dragon Ball Super, Vegeta struggles to lift up Vegeta, and they say he weighs like 2 tons or something like that, 10 tons, which is nothing. But it all comes down, I feel like, to key control, utilization, everything like that. I'm going to discuss a lot more about that in my video with Plague of Gripes. That's going to be coming out soon, about how gravity training works. As we go all the way down the rabbit hole on that. But let's get back into your chats. Thank you for the question, Block. Oh, Xavier de God, thank you so much for the super chat. Coming in clutch with the $5 American. I don't know how much that would be in Canadian. You guys can let me know. Mike, what would you say is 3 Days Grace best song ever? I Hate Everything About You, Animal, I Have Become, or Never Too Late? I mean, I don't know if I would only choose from those three, to be honest. Like, out of all of those, my favorite one is Never Too Late. But my favorite 3 Days Grace song might actually be Wake Up. Wake up, I'm pounding on the door. It's a really, a song I really enjoy. I've heard that many times. So yeah, I don't really know if I like 3 Days Grace anymore after the lead singer left, but I did see him reunite with the band on tour this past year, I believe. And so I do really, I like it when he's a part of the band. I think he has a great voice. World's So Cold is a really good song too. I know a lot of people probably don't like them because, they consider them emo or whatever, but I don't know. I like samplings of all different kinds. That's the thing. I love, I'm a big fan of music. So, as you guys might have noticed with me having the guitar, and let's see if you can even see it, the amp. That's the thing. I might change around my office again because I try to have things in frame, and it's kind of difficult to do that sometimes. Like you could see right here, the, hold on. You could see right, damn it. So much more difficult. I would do, so you could see right here my amp when I move out of the way. Wait for it. Wait for it. There you go. And that was a tough one. That was a very tough one. Now all my fans with OCD are going to be very unhappy because I ruined my shot. I'm not going to be happy because I ruined my shot. Oh boy. My angle is ruined. The ratio. Okay. Adam Gontier, that's his name. There you go. Yeah, he's got a great voice. One of my favorite vocalists in music in general, but especially metal, Howard Jones. He's awesome. I would have loved to see Kill Switch with him, but if they ever come around here, I'm going to go see Light the Torch because he's great. Like even now, he's like in his 50s and he's still amazing. Like no signs of quality loss with him. I did see Kill Switch with Jesse though, the original Jesse Leach, and then he came back after Howard left, which I like that song. I think it was a Signal Fire where both of them combined, but I'm definitely a bigger fan of Howard's vocals, even though I do like Jesse Leach. I think it's pretty good. He got better, but yeah, Howard for me, I prefer his vocals. What do I think of XQC? I'm not quite sure what that is. Can you elaborate? Is it something I should actually be talking about, or is it a trap? Because I have no idea what it is. So you can let me know. How's it going, Doug? That's that song, that band that sings Killer Tofu, Doug. That's totally a great one. Cheers to you from the Azores. Or Azores. I don't know. You'll notice that every time I try and pronounce something, it tends to be wrong. My name is Mike Wurin. There we go. I'm not sure where that is, so you can let me know in the chat. I'm always trying to brush up on my geography. I'm an American, so that means I'm terrible at it. But yeah, hi. Come to visit the stream one more time. Okay, we almost got 50 people here. 30 likes. We get those up. I want to see. We get that up a little bit more. That's what she said. And then we'll proceed to go into one of the first things I'm going to talk about tonight. Now, there's a little bit of a delay, guys, but I'm going to do my best to try and make sure that that I can keep up with everything you're saying and vice versa. So it doesn't seem like there's just 15 seconds of me not doing anything. Oh, hey, another super chat from Anthony Murchison. Hopefully that was pronounced correctly. Mike, how did Bobbidi and Dabura cross paths? I wonder if that's something I should do a video on. Maybe at some point, actually, but I have everything all loaded up for another video right now. But How did Bobbidi and Dabura cross paths? I assume that what happened is, so I think that's like a multi-tiered answer. So first off, if I remember correctly, Toriyama had an interview years ago where he said that Bobbidi would summon people to him that he sensed their power and evil, and he would like send out like signals or like a frequency, something like that, and be able to pick up on like the evil in the hearts of an enemy and how powerful they were and stuff like that. And so essentially, I guess that Bobbidi would teleport people to himself and then like give them the Majin mark and, brainwash them and then, increase their power at that point if they even need to have it increased. And so I guess that maybe he teleported Dabura to him. Before that point, I always assumed that over the course of the millions of years that Bobbidi was kind of like searching for Boo's shell. What he did was that he would like travel around not just the universe, but maybe he went to the demon realm, maybe in order to purposely try and find um, people to help him, evil-minded people who could benefit him. And Deborah was, well, the most powerful being there and also probably the most evil. And he basically looks like Satan. So, I'm guessing that's kind of how it happened, other than the Toriyama interview, like in universe versus out of universe. But it's not like he ever says in the show or in the manga. So it's left up to the imagination. So Toriyama's word there could totally be correct. I mean, he's the author, but that's a whole other can of worms. Oh, hey, Xavier, once again, thank you so much. $5 super chat. And Mike, what would you say is Linkin Park's best song? In the End, Numb, or What I've Done? I wouldn't really put What I've Done up there. I think What I've Done was a popular song during the time when Linkin Park started to get a little bit more soft in their music. I mean, it wasn't always like that. But yeah, for me, like Linkin Park, my favorite song has probably always been Numb. Um, in the End is another great song too by them, but it's probably the most popular song ever. But for me, aside from memes, but with what I've done. But yeah, for me, like my favorite Linkin Park song might be From the Inside. That's a great song. I also really like Paper Cut, Lying from You, Numb is great. Crawling, In the End is really good, of course. I really like Lost in the Echo. That's a great song I never heard until this past year when I started to get really back into them again. And that one's great. That's like a newer song by them. I mean, they're never going to make any more songs again unless for whatever reason they decide to have a new lead singer. But yeah, I think that like their best new song I've heard is Lost in the Echo. That one's great. That probably has my favorite Mike Shinoda section, like where he just goes really hard with the rapping. It's interesting when you listen to some of the demos from early Linkin Park. Some of them have way more rap focus. Like, for example, the original In the End demo and Points of Authority. That's another one of my favorite one, and I actually prefer the demo. Like the Chester stuff is all the same, as far as I can recall or noticed, but like the rap is better. Like the instead of like forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame, instead it's forfeit the game, stop the talk show. It's great. Breaking the Habit, that's an awesome song too. That's one of my favorites. I love the music video too. It's actually made by the original anime studio that did the anime section for Oren Ishii from Kill Bill, from the first Kill Bill. And they actually did a much longer version because basically what happened, it's really interesting. With Kill Bill Volume 1, originally it was going to be one movie, just Kill Bill, but they split it for, oh, we don't want a 4-hour movie in theaters. Yeah, that totally stopped Lord of the Rings from doing great in Avatar 2. It was going to be about the same length as Return the King and Avatar Way of Water. And, you know, I still want them to release on 4K or back in theaters. But, you know, they originally had a much longer section for the anime backstory, but they weren't able to complete it by the time that Kill Bill came out. So, you know, because they're really honorable, respectable people, what they did was afterward, they still completed it and sent it to Tarantino just for free, you know, because they're like, sorry, we couldn't do it in time. And I would love to see the whole thing, you know, and of course, they're the ones who did the um, Breaking the Habit, you know. And that's a great song too. There's so many songs that you listen to Linkin Park now and you look back at like what happened with Chester and you're like, you could see this coming. Like it's not like he wrote all the songs, but at the same time it's like, you know, so many of his songs make way more sense now after what ended up happening. Which, you know, is a shame. So many great lead singers and artists have died way before their age, especially that way. You know, one of my favorite bands of all time, Children of Bodom, their lead singer and guitarist Alexi Lio, he died because of like drinking and drug use and stuff like that, which is obviously not the same, but I mean like he died like a couple years ago and he was like one of the best guitarists and lead death metal vocalists of all time. So that was really that was a really sad time because especially too like their music had kind of like gone down after Are You Dead Yet? Like Blood Drunk was, they had some good songs on there, but like some of their stuff after that was like lackluster. But then they like their most recent album was actually really good, you know. So it really sucked that ended up happening. What ended up happening? Don't drink every time I say that. Oh, it's a small archipelago in Portugal, located in the middle of the American and European continents. So in the Atlantic Ocean. It's technically the most western point in Europe since the Azores is part of Portugal. Yeah, I like my authentic accent there. That's cool. I've never been to Portugal, but you know, it's definitely on my list. I'm planning to go to Europe maybe next year, you know, for the first time and go there and see what's up there. I've been to other countries, but Europe, you know, haven't flown across the pond quite just yet. Was the Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that fought Kid Buu stronger than Majin Vegeta? Did I do a video about that, guys? I guess you can let me know, but if I haven't, I'm sure I will. And yeah, I think it makes sense that he got stronger. If the post-death Zenkai makes sense. And then when we look at his performance, you know. Vegeta's always been really tanky and durable, though, which is surprising considering that he's, you know, not very large. And when he bulks up his muscles, he looks more like Franco Columbu than brain.exe has stopped working. Hold on. Lou Ferrigno. Do you listen to the Jay-Z and Linkin Park album? I feel like I probably did. By the way, speaking of movies and everything, you talk about Linkin Park, you know, if you guys haven't seen The Raid is one of the best action movies ever. And, you know, it's one of the best modern martial arts action movies of all time, especially. And so I would definitely check it out because it's amazing. It has great action, especially the first and second ones, but not just that. But additionally, the music was done, at least in the rescore music, was done by, I think, Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park. So, you know, that's another reason if you're a fan of that music to check it out. But it's got an amazing action sequence, or a million of them, actually. The second one has that much more, you know. Not all of it's 100% original, though. Like I'll say, like I saw some Asian action movies before that had similar concepts and even characters in it. But at the same time, it's still amazingly done and inspired so many movies over here like John Wick. Yeah. Hold on. All right. Phantom89, thank you so much. Do you believe the theory about Chester Bennington? What theory are we talking about here? That it was like there's some conspiracy or something about him? I never really heard it or looked too much into it, but there are definitely certain conspiracies that have happened throughout history. That's 100% the case. Unfortunately, conspiracy has become a very dirty word in this day and age, and so, despite the fact that conspiracy is just two people like trying to say we're going to do this, apparently there's never been any conspiracies ever. East Asia is our enemy, Eurasia is our ally. East Asia is our ally, Eurasia is our enemy. This is how things have always been. I love Big Brother. Let's see if anyone gets that reference in the chat. But thank you again, Phantom89. I appreciate that. Oh, you heard of Linkin Park during the Transformers movie. Okay, yeah, I mean, Transformers was a big movie, so it makes a lot of sense that people got into Linkin Park like that. The What I've Done song, I guess it's a nostalgic one, but yeah. Yeah, Ray did a really great job with setting up a lot of these modern action movies for sure. The Night Comes for Us is really good too. Involves one of the main characters from the first Raid movie, and it's also like really over the top violence stuff. All that stuff you like in those martial arts movies. Franco is Vegeta. Louis, or yeah, definitely, I agree with that. Goku's Arnold. He's got the perfect genetics. What kind of PC do I use? Okay. I built my own computer years ago, like about 5+ years ago at this point. I probably got to build another one or upgrade it or something soon. But yeah, it's like a custom built one. I got like a 1070 in it and like MV, any hard drive and all that stuff, Not like the most powerful. People would shit on mine all day, every day with like an RTX 3080 or 4030 or whatever they have now. But, I got something that let me create content in 4K and even game in 4K. So I made sure to do that. But let's see. Yeah, so let me start talking about one thing I wanted to get into. So before I do that, I do want to do a quick little shout out right here. So let me pull up my screen. Okay. So over on Laughingstock Cinema, or Media rather, I'm sure that you guys have seen. Sometimes I run some of these polls here. So right now I'm doing Super Saiyan Gotenks from before the Room of Spirit and Time or the Time Chamber versus Fat Buu before he split between good and evil Buu. So, if you guys haven't voted yet, go over there, let me know. Originally it was 50-50. As I expected, people started to go more for Buu. The thing is, like, a lot of people still think that Gotenks, like, at this point was weaker than Goku as Super Saiyan 3, or at least wasn't anywhere near comparable. And that, some people I saw in the comments before actually said, according to the Daizenshu, it says that Super Saiyan Gotenks is actually weaker than Majin Vegeta, which I don't really buy, to be honest. And I'll get into that a little bit more in my video, which I'll give you guys a sneak peek. Actually, I've been working on behind the scenes. So you'll see that video coming out soon. I run these polls for a reason, guys. And a big reason is because I plan videos out. And then I'm like, what? Let's see what people think. Get an interesting idea of the perspective. And sometimes I just like to play around with the audience. You can see right here, for example, people think that Super Saiyan Kid Trunks in the Buu Saga would lose to Future Trunks, but they also think that Goten would beat Frieza, even though, it's not like there's a several times difference between the two of them. And Trunks was stronger earlier on, but then later on, after they go into the time chamber, I think it's pretty clear that they would easily defeat both of them combined. And not just that, but even before that, Goten and Trunks would stomp pretty much everyone up until at least the middle of the Cell Saga, which is crazy to think about, but You know, like when we actually look at what they did even before they trained in the time chamber, even before Goten trained with Gohan and Trunks trained with Vegeta more in depth, we see that they're doing things that they never would be able to if they were even remotely comparable to Frieza and Future Trunks. So, you know, check out those polls. Make sure to vote in them. Also, over on my channel right now, I have some new videos up here. Does Broly actually remember Baby Goku, for example? I also broke down Dragon Ball Magic, you know, or what is supposedly being called Dragon Ball Magic right now, and if that's actually a fully legitimate thing, and you know what we've heard thus far, you know, along with I was gonna say Quinn's creepy smile, but Shin's creepy smile. And yeah, so check out these videos if you haven't yet. Sometimes they don't get shown to you, you know, like this Broly one, you know, on another channel. Might have gotten 100K views by now, but, you know, we know how YouTube can be. So, yeah, let me get into, I've lost the plot here, hold on. So let me pull up something else and we'll start talking about something. First, let me take a swig of water for the working man. Give me a hell yeah in the chat. Do I like John Wick or Mission Impossible more? I guess based upon like it depends on like what we're looking at here. Like in terms of like longer lasting, better movies overall, Mission Impossible. Like so many bangers, you know, basically. But with John Wick, you know, they have 3 of 4 movies are really, you know, like the first John Wick for me, a lot more generic. Like it has some good choreography, cinematography, you know, it's Keanu Reeves I always liked, but I never really thought it was as great as a lot of people made it out to be, even though it's the one that kind of kicked everything off and that so many people like loved and resonated with. But John Wick 2, I think is a lot better because the action is way better done and, you know, just goes a lot crazier. John Wick 3 has even better action, but I think the story is the worst out of the bunch. And John Wick 4 is probably the best one. You know, it's great, tons of action, and just really well done for the most part. You know, too long probably. Like after 2.5 hours, you're kind of like, oh my God, do we need yet another 15-minute action sequence? This is like too long. Like this is too much. And so you get desensitized to everything happening. But I haven't rewatched it since the theater, so maybe I'll like it even more this time. That's kind of the thing. You know, it's like you can only take so many amazing action sequences back to back before you're just like exhausted. It's kind of like what would happen with wrestling. Like they would put on like WrestleMania, and sometimes they'd have so many bangers like along the way that by the time the main event you're like exhausted and you don't even care anymore. You can't like cheer and go crazy for it. And yes, I am a James Bond fan. I've seen all the movies, and I actually own all of them up until Spectre, I think. Yeah, I didn't like Spectre, so I don't really mind not owning it. But I got the collection a while back before Spectre came out on Blu-ray. Of course, they have a 4K one, but am I going to buy 27 4K Blu-rays? You know, like that's, how much is that going to be? Too much? I got other things I'd rather spend money on, you know, important things. But someday, if it's on sale, when they finally go to 8K Blu-rays and the 4K ones are like cut in half, sure. Most of the movies I buy now are 4K, though, to be honest. I actually just watched the Batman again yesterday, and that for me, great movie. It's still a great movie. It still has, there are some issues that I noticed a little bit more on the rewatch, but for me, it might be like the second best Batman movie after The Dark Knight. In some ways, it's better than Dark Knight. You know, the Gotham, the atmosphere, the cinematography. Like, there's some great cinematography in The Dark Knight, but, like, it blows... I feel like Batman blows it away, you know, with so many amazing scenes that, like, look incredible in the movie. And, yeah. But, you know, some people would say it's the best Batman movie. You know, I think it's comparable in some ways to The Dark Knight or better, but... yeah, I mean, I'll have to keep rewatching them over the years, and I'll have to see. I've only seen it twice. I've seen The Dark Knight way more times, including in theaters recently, like a week and a half ago. Mike, are you married? Why do you want to know? Is that an invitation? Hey, what are you doing down there? You want your cameo? Come here. Come on. There we go. Do you think Goku listens to Drake? I assume that Drake doesn't exist in the alternate universe where Dragon Ball exists. So probably not. He probably listens to Dragon. Let's see if anyone gets that reference or anyone understands what I'm saying right there. In Harry Potter, they have Drake, but it's Drake, and I feel like he wouldn't be as good of a rapper. Batman 1989, yeah, I mean, I really like Batman 89 for sure, but I don't think it's as good as The Batman. I don't think that, I think that all the Nolan movies are better than Batman 89, and then I think that The Batman is better than every Batman movie except The Dark Knight. And even then, it's better than Dark Knight in some ways. Oh yeah, every single week now, LSM Monday. So, I will be doing streams every Monday, hopefully. Today I had a migraine, but who cares? Let's do the stream. I set something up. I'm not going to just skip one of the weeks, right? Okay, so let's get into something here, which is something I want to talk about quite a bit today. So, you're going to knock my microphone out of the way? Are you that craving attention right now? Before I was just distracted so rudely by my cat right here. Hey, stop doing that. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is stop saying what I'm going to do right now, and I'm actually going to do it. So let's talk a little bit about a topic that I've wanted to actually do a video on for a while, and I'm going to do it live here on stream, which is actually also going to be about Goten and Trunks. So that's going to be why Goten and Trunks are way more powerful than you realize. Because the truth of the matter is that Goten and Trunks, well, they've been downplayed for quite a while in this community, I feel like, because people just assume, well, they're kids, so naturally they can't be anywhere near as powerful as anyone, including, Frieza, Namek, or, a lot of people look at Son Goku and his friends return, which isn't canon, actually. I know it's kind of hard for a lot of people to see that, but Son Goku wasn't made by Toriyama. It was made by Naho Oishi. And so as a result, what ended up happening is that, I told you not to take shots when I say that, guys. I hope you're not doing it. What ended up happening was that it was adapted from a manga that she made into an anime special, but it's not really canon, or at least it's not a part of the main super canon continuity. And not just that, but also like they were being compared to the base forms, even if you want to include it. I know you could say, well, Tarbo was mentioned in Super. Well, he actually wasn't. Tarbo was never mentioned in Super. Tarbo was mentioned, briefly referenced in Battle of Gods, where it's like, Vegeta, don't you have a brother? And, oh, but I lost his number, because that was, one of the people they were considering helping with the Super Saiyan God ritual before they found out that Videl was pregnant, and that Pan was able to help. Which was gone over by Toriyama, but we don't know that Toriyama actually wrote that line, for example. Like, he worked on the screenplay and changed some things. But either way, in the Battle of Gods adaptation, the anime and the manga, I don't think they ever mentioned Tarbo once, and he's never referenced again. And it seems more like the idea was that Tarbo was actually incorporated into the Kaba character, in that they decide to, instead of having Vegeta have a younger brother who like he helps and blah blah blah, instead he actually has a disciple from another universe, you know, because Dragon Ball Super reused so many of the same concepts, like one arc after the next, you know, even sometimes in the same arc. But like we go from Frieza getting resurrected in Resurrection F to then just having another Frieza in the next arc with Frost. We go from Yosun Goku, which was again not a traditional canon special in that sense, and then we go to Kaba, basically the same character. And then we go from a Broly knockoff with Kale to Broly in the movie that comes out right after the Tournament to Power. So many times they just kind of reuse and recycle the same thing over and over into the next arc. And I'm not quite sure why that is. It kind of comes off as like odd when you're rewatching the series, where it's like, if you're going to bring back Broly, then why did you just have Broly and undercut bringing Broly back, right? Like, if you're going to have this character that's like a younger Saiyan, why would you introduce one before and then completely ignore him and obliterate him from the continuity just so you can have this one? If you're going to have like a weak character compared to our main cast show up like Jocko, then why are you going to introduce another character who's weak to act as the number one strongest fake fighter in the universe, Monaka, and then you just abandon him and never reference him again either, aside from like a little joke panel where Zamasu swap bodies with him, and then you have like a little reference, I think in the Tournament of Power or something, like, is Monaka gonna fight? No, he's sick, and that's it. And I guess we'll never hear about him again unless they maybe briefly reference him in one of the other arcs of the manga. But hey, at least Monaka is not going to be the main character of Dragon Ball Magic, right? He was referenced in Dragon Ball Super Broly. I'm not sure if you're talking about Kaba or Monaka. I've seen the Broly movie several times, including most of the time in Japanese, but also in English. And I don't remember them ever mentioning Kaba once. Yeah, let's try and get in this video right here. But first, I gotta actually bring everything up and see if I got everything all supplied here. Stop, Penny. So I actually set things up for two of them. Well, yeah, I mean, Goten isn't... The thing is that Goten was invalidated right after he was introduced. Because Goten was introduced by Toriyama to be a replacement for Goku. Like, Goku was already replaced as the main character by Gohan. Like, Toriyama literally has Roshi saying on a panel the exact same thing, basically the same way he did it at the end of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, that, don't worry, you know, this story isn't actually over, there's more to come. Instead, he had Roshi saying on the front cover of the new arc, when Gohan was reintroduced as the main character 7 years later, which, you know, the whole timeline is something I'll talk about at some point maybe, but, you know, it says, you know, Goku might be gone, but that son of his is going to take over and fill his shoes. And, you know, Goten was introduced right after that to basically just be a clone of Goku, because it's like, well, fans are going to miss Goku because he was the main character for so long. So let's just have Goten replace him in like appearances. But then Toriyama got cold feet and brought back Goku. And so Goten became completely irrelevant. He tried to make him somewhat relevant in the arc where he actually was going to be the one who fought and defeated Fat Buu seemingly, and then, you know, Super Buu seemingly, but then he kept changing his mind over and over. Obviously I'm referencing Gotenks here, but then he kept changing his mind over and over. So with that being said, that never happened. But, you know, keeping that in mind, let's get into the video, and you guys can save some questions for a little bit later. You know, after my video, maybe I'll stop it during the video from time to time, but give me 1 second, guys, as I get ready for this, and we'll be right back. How weak are Chi-Chi's genes that her kids are Goku clones, whereas Trunks isn't a Vegeta clone? Interesting question. I'm not quite sure. I mean, Goku looks just like his father, and his second son looks just like him. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat blue hair, right? Like, Chi-Chi had black hair, so, you know, it's a little bit more likely for Goku, who also has black hair, I suppose, to be able to override certain genes. But I don't know. It's interesting. You know, the prince in the royal bloodline doesn't have children that look just like him, whereas with Goku, they do. But I think a better argument maybe is out of universe, which is that, what is it? Which is essentially that Goku, you know, okay, let's restart this. But I can't do the Jim Carrey thing, unfortunately, from Ace Ventura, where he just like goes in reverse and then goes in slow mo. But so I think a really good argument to make there is that Toriyama, out of universe, wanted to introduce a character that didn't look like Vegeta, because otherwise if he looked just like him, then people would immediately know, oh, this is just Vegeta's son from the future. Whereas with Trunks, there was the question for a little while if he was who he was. You know, when he first is introduced, it's kind of like, oh, well, who the heck is this character who doesn't look like a Saiyan? He has a Capsule Corp jacket, you know, a jean jacket, because, you know, it's the 90s. And also, you know, a 90s haircut, which was purple, which was the same color as Bulma's hair in the manga. And, you know, then eventually blue to match in the anime, even though we'd all seen Dragon Ball Z, and we know that Trunks' hair wasn't blue Toei. You know, and then Toible Taro gets around that by being like, having Bulma ask Trunks, oh, is there a man in there that has the same hair color as you, to Kid Trunks? It's like, come on. And then they even don't they have like Kid Trunks and Future Trunks have different hair colors too? Like, did they really think the audience was so stupid that they wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Future Trunks and Kid Trunks, because one is like 2 to 3 times taller than the other Trunks, despite the fact he was like older than the Trunks we see in the same flashbacks? You gotta love Super, and it's great continuity that makes perfect sense, and that is the ultimate canon. It's so canon that it overrides the manga that Toriyama created. But okay, let's record this video. Do you think we'll ever see Goten and Trunks fight a serious fight as individuals? I mean, if they actually move forward with the whole next generation thing, then yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't recall them ever mentioning in Dragon Ball Super Broly that Vegeta has a brother. You know, maybe Tarbell is canon to the movie continuity, which again is a whole different continuity probably. You know, one of the things it's like people say, oh, the movie characters are stronger in Dragon Ball Z, but at the same time, so many people, I guess, make the assumption that all the movies take place in the same timeline, which they don't. Like, it's impossible for them to do so. Just as much as it's impossible for them all to take place in the in like the main continuity or even the anime continuity, because of all the contradictions. Like in the Lord Slug movie, False Super Saiyan is Super Saiyan. We just call it False Super Saiyan. Whereas every other movie, they have the real Super Saiyan. So, you know, it's like there's millions of different contradictions that disqualify them from even cohabitating in the same continuity. Even some sequels to one another. Like, if I remember, the Cooler movies have things that contradict in between them. You can maybe make the argument about the Broly movies, but I don't feel like there's anything explicit enough. Like, you know, I already recorded a video about this. I just have to edit the whole video because I did it kind of like my old videos in a sense, about Broly's power and, you know, the whole misconception that Gohan trained up until he fought Broly, which is never actually said in the movie at any point. And it might be in the English dub, but it's definitely not in the Japanese. I think it might just be something that Power Scalers made up. Well, not intentionally necessarily, but, you know, to try and hype up Broly. This is Gohan if he trained for the entire time instead of stopping. It's like, No, that's not what he says at all. We see him training because it takes place in the lead up to the Buu saga with the tournament. We just see him floating and meditating over water, and then he says he was stronger than when he fought Broly, but obviously he'd be stronger than when he fought Broly. He wasn't even a Super Saiyan 2 at the time, so that's not even an argument. But yeah, I'll get into this momentarily. But anyway, instead of tangents, let's do the video. And of course, my mini fridge decided to go off now, because it knows. It's like when planes and helicopters fly over my house. They all just wait all day until I record and then make all the noise they can. Used to make me so much more mad, but nowadays I don't care. You just gotta go with it. Sometimes you gotta go with what you're given. I think I actually referenced Dragon Ball being a choose your own adventure at one point. So in terms of the canon, in one video I did, I don't remember what it was. You guys can tell me. I'm almost borderline Toriyama at this point. I made so many videos, you expect me to remember everything I said? Let me actually test my audio real quick to make sure this is good. I don't want to be too far away. You know, it's like Joe Rogan says, you know, a fist between your face and the microphone. All right, let me listen to it. Make sure it's good to go. I always test out my audio before I start. I mean, it would be funny if Beerus actually did use 50% against Vegeta, or 10% against Vegeta, and every single power scaler is wrong, and Goku and Vegeta, despite getting Ultra Instinct, all these training gains and power-ups, are only like, you know, a few times stronger. Then maybe Super Saiyan Rose really is, so I'm not going to even get into that. It would be funny. Yeah, my microphone's always quiet because I have to actually increase the volume in post. I see on my thing it's showing it's going between green and yellow. Even when I'm really loud. How's that sound? Is that loud enough? You know I don't talk loudly. I'm like Bob Ross. Okay, now let's do a happy little video. And any mistakes I make, those are actually, you know, happy accidents. See if there's a way for me to actually increase my volume in here for you guys so you can hear what I'm saying better. Ooh, it looks like I figured out that you can do it. Hello, how's this sound? Is this any better? Does it sound any better now? Is it louder? Hey guys, it's Mike here, and I'm testing out my audio for this video I'm right about to record live here on LSM Monday. Guys, it's Mike here, and I'm testing out my audio for this video I'm right about to record live here on LSM Monday. All right, cool. I figured it out, guys. I cracked the code. I'm gonna hack the world. Awesome. That's great. Okay, let's record this video live. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing a subject that I've wanted to talk about on this channel for a very long time. That involves two characters in the story, and two descendants of two of the main characters. And those would be Goten, the son of Goku, and Trunks, the son of Vegeta. And of course, I'm talking about the present Trunks, not the one from the future, aka another universe that got erased from existence. Thanks a lot, Dragon Ball Super. But the reason why I want to do this video is because the fact that for a very long time in this fandom, it seems that people have completely misunderstood and undersold and underrated the power of son Goten, and Trunks, no last name. No, he doesn't have a last name. You could check out a video where I talked about the biggest misconceptions in the Dragon Ball franchise and why Bulma and her family do not actually have a last name. Shocker, I know. But I'm going to be explaining and showcasing in depth using the original manga that Toriyama himself created to explain why Goten and Trunks are way more powerful than you think. But before I begin, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That way you could stay up to date with all of my future videos. Additionally, make sure to leave a like, share this video out, stay the entire duration, and for those of you who do, you're really awesome because you're helping this channel go even further beyond. But with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay. So let's see right now. All right, let me shuffle around my stuff real quick, and I'll figure this out. Just gotta get everything all lined up perfectly. That way I can just seamlessly transition between the manga and then Natty, we will have this ready to go. Magic of editing. Okay, perfect. Let's do this. So our understanding of just how powerful Goten and Trunks began when we saw Goten and Gohan training during the course of the lead up and build up to the tournament in the Buu saga. During this, we saw that Gohan, who was a Super Saiyan, and remember, this is Gohan at this point who had mastered Super Saiyan with his father in the time chamber and had unlocked at least some of his hidden power that was still remaining right now at this point, which made him even stronger than when he started the fight against Cell. Let me make sure, okay, good, I do have my banner, perfect. Sometimes I have to add that in afterward because I forget to put it up. Now, during this point, what we see is that Goten and Trunks... Gohan and Goten are starting their training by having Gohan putting a line in the ground, and then Goten was going to throw rocks at him. At this point, Gohan, he was really confident. He thought that Goten wouldn't be able to do anything near him, especially in his base form, in terms of almost hitting him. At this point, Goten is surprised, and he's like, but isn't that a bit close? And then we see Gohan saying, I'll be fine, you can come even closer, you'll see. He's very confident in his power, because naturally he would have to be, because, right, he trained alongside his father in the time chamber, so why would this kid be able to stand a chance when he's just a little kid who's 7 years old? You can argue even younger than that, because, you know, it's not like Chi-Chi gave birth to him right after Goku died or anything, but we'll get into that in another video in the future. Gohan tells him to throw it as hard as he can, and what ends up happening? Well, Goten does that, and Gohan is shocked when he sees the rock coming toward him. He goes out of the way as fast as he possibly can, as you see him sweating, and just totally shocked by the power and the speed that Goten threw this at, even turning around looking at him like, what? How is this possible? How did this young base Saiyan just do this when I'm Gohan? I'm a person who defeated Cell. And he's like, wow, it's true, you really are strong. And Goten goes to throw more rocks. And what does Gohan do right here? Well, look at this. He actually tells Goten to wait, and then he draws the line further back, significantly further. You could see right here where Goten is, and then he tells him to move back so that he has more of a chance to dodge these rocks. Remember, this is Super Saiyan Gohan right here, who would effortlessly one-shot the androids, semi-perfect Cell, everything like that at this point, and yet Goten is actually giving him a little bit of a workout. At this point, Goten actually asks Gohan if he could transform into a Super Saiyan, and Gohan's like, well, like me, what are you talking about? That Super Saiyan thing, he says. He's like, you're not ready for that. You have to train hard. You know, it took him a long time to do that. And then Goten, of course, transforms into a Super Saiyan to the utter shock of Gohan, who's about to turn his purple gi brown, looking at the shocked expression on his face. And then we see right here he asks Goten when he can do it, and Goten doesn't remember. Now, in the anime version, we see that he learns how to become a Super Saiyan training with Chi-Chi. This is another thing that makes people think that Goten's a lot weaker than he is, because they think, oh, he needs Super Saiyan to fight against Chi-Chi. That's not the reality. He was actually able to bring it out for different reasons. In large part, according to Toriyama, Goten and Trunks, so I'll get into soon, were able to bring out Super Saiyan easier because not only did they have these things called S cells, which build up with Saiyans during peaceful times so that they're still able to fight and combat themselves against enemies, so that they could transform more easily and then fight against a stronger enemy with that larger multiplier, which, according to the Daizenshu and the guides, is a 50 times multiplier. But not just that, Goten also, as you notice, doesn't have a tail. That's not because Chi-Chi cut it off, but rather it's because him and Trunks are tailless prodigies. This is incredibly important here, guys, so pay attention. Goten and Trunks are so powerful because the fact that they were born essentially mutants, essentially prodigies who themselves did not have tails, and so in turn their body was able to bring out their potential much earlier than Gohan and Goku and Vegeta and most of the other Saiyans. This is also why Kaba, Kale, Caulifla, and all the other Saiyans in Universe 6 are also so powerful, because of the fact that they do not have tails. They evolved beyond them. Their bodies are the next generation of evolution of the Saiyans, who we had already seen Goku and arguably Vegeta might even themselves be mutant prodigies too, as I discussed in another video you guys can see in the top right corner, which is the strongest mutants or the most powerful mutants in Dragon Ball. Definitely check that out, guys, because I go way more in depth into this. So Gohan is shocked that his brother could become a Super Saiyan, and then right here he actually asks Goten to start sparring with him. Now this is really interesting because we see what actually happens when the two of them fight, where we see that Goten immediately puts Gohan on the defensive. Look at just how much he's struggling to deflect Goten's hit with his kick. He's not trying, as we could see, to like easily block it, or he's not just like keeping his guard down so he could tank it because he's so much stronger. No, Goten is actually keeping up with Gohan and pushing him back. And then when we actually see the two of them fighting, Gohan gets pushed up into the air to where he wants to continue the battle. He's sweating, as we could see on his face, and he's straining. And the only reason the fight doesn't continue is because Goten at this point has not learned Super Saiyan. Now after they're take a sip of water for the working man one more time, guys. So after their sparring match, we end up seeing that Gohan and Goten are running through the wooded area. During this point, Gohan says that he has incredible potential and that he didn't know he was so strong. And then we actually see during his conversation, Goten explains that Trunks is even stronger, and the two of them fight for fun often. Now, this is something that's very often overlooked by the community when it comes to Goten and Trunks. But in the anime and manga, it's told to us that Goten and Trunks fought for fun or had play fights all the time. So with regard to that, this is actually telling us that the reason why these two are so powerful isn't just because they just so happen to be born that powerful, like Frieza or somebody like that, but also the two of them would fight each other all the time just for fun. And we don't know how intense these battles might have been. It might have been like super intense where they were beating each other to the point of exhaustion, and maybe, getting Zenkais along the way for all we know along the course of their battles. So they know exactly how powerful each other is. Both Goten and Trunks are Super Saiyans, and thus as a result, there's a very strong chance that that's big reason why they were so strong by this point in the story, because they were sparring and fighting each other and bringing out their latent potential for fun, which is something that we never see on screen. So it's another thing that causes people to overlook this. But again, we're told specifically that the two of them would fight very often. So again, that gives us an explanation, because, if Goku and Vegeta fought all the time and we see them sparring and training together in Super, just look how strong they became together. And even Gohan is surprised, and he's sweating more about this, and we see his internal monologue saying, geez, if I don't start training seriously, these kids will become stronger than me. So he's already thinking that Goten and Trunks aren't too far away from his power as a Super Saiyan, which we've already established is stronger than the androids, who is stronger than, Super Namekian Piccolo before the 7 years of training in the hyperbolic time chamber and stuff. Stronger, probably, especially... Definitely, and even still, despite the fact that he's rusty at this point and weaker than he was when he fought Cell, would still be a lot stronger than even Super Vegeta and Trunks when he fought Cell as his grade 4 and everything along those lines. And Trunks when he fought Cell as a grade 3 and everything along those lines. So again, look how much Goten was pushing Gohan. And we see this also continue into the next scene, where we see that Trunks has started his gravity training with Vegeta, and they're training in 150 times gravity. Initially, Vegeta tells Trunks that he's overstraining himself, 150 times is too much, and Trunks is motivated right now to train even harder because the fact that he is, in fact, wanting to beat Goten at the tournament. At this point, Trunks reveals that he can, in fact, become a Super Saiyan, to the shock of Vegeta, who looks at his power. It's effortless for him to now jump and dodge around everything like this. Whereas Vegeta, he's training under 150 times gravity, so he could still get some kind of usage out of this, which I'm going to be explaining in a coming video about how gravity training works in Dragon Ball Z, but we'll get into that in the future. Nonetheless, at this point, we see Vegeta is shocked by the fact that he could easily turn into a Super Saiyan, and then he asks if Goten could do the same thing, at which point Trunks says yes. And this is where we get the iconic line, which is not the same in this translation, where Vegeta asks, what is there, a bargain sale on Super Saiyans? Which Toriyama's commented on that maybe Vegeta saw that on TV. And then, Vegeta actually says for Trunks to fight with him, and not just that, but if he can land one punch or even touch his face, he'll take him to an amusement park. And he tells Trunks to try his hardest. Now, keep in mind, this is Vegeta after 7 years of training, most likely. We don't know when he started to train again, after he said he quit fighting, after he gave up after Gohan defeated Cell and Goku died. But nonetheless, this is him after years of training, and he had surpassed Gohan at this point in the story, and very possibly surpassed Super Saiyan 2 Gohan from when he fought against Cell. And yet at this point, Trunks is pushing Vegeta. We see him actually sweating again. We see that he's getting angry. He's getting frustrated because he, in fact, is actually trying to dodge these moves. It's not effortless like when he fights against Pui Pui. He's trying really hard to actually get through these. We see he's trying to block everything, but then we see that Trunks actually lands a shot on Vegeta, which causes him to respond and punch Trunks. Now, you could say that Vegeta still wasn't going all out here, that if he was going all out just as a regular Super Saiyan, it would be a lot easier. But nonetheless, not only does it seem like he's really trying here, which implies that he's using some sort of upper percentage of his power, but because it's it's a very strenuous activity for him. But then he gets angry and punches Trunks and forgets that he was even fighting against his own son. He's like, oh no, look what I done. And yet Trunks isn't really that hurt. He doesn't need to take a senzu bean. He doesn't have a hole in his head. He has a busted lip and like an impression on his head. But nonetheless, we do see that he still was able to land a hit on Vegeta, which I said before, this guy was trying, and he's vastly more powerful right now than he was during the Cell Saga, which goes to show you that Goten and Trunks at this point really aren't that far below the normal Super Saiyans at the time, which is, again, really contrary and counter to something that a lot of people think in this community, where they think that these guys are not even as strong as, let's say, Goku on Namek, or Trunks when he first appears in the Cell Saga. In fact, both Goten and Trunks seem like they would be able to easily defeat the Super Saiyans even up until the Cell Saga, which is crazy to think about if we're basing it off of these comparative feats when we see them even sparring against Gohan and Vegeta. Another scene worth mentioning is when Gohan. Another scene worth mentioning is that when Goten and Trunks power up in front of Piccolo and Goku in order to learn how to do the fusion dance, Goku asks them to go to their maximum. They do. We see that Piccolo is utterly shocked by the power on display here. Now remember, Piccolo at this point was way more powerful than Goku on Namek, than Frieza on Namek. He had become the Super Namekian after fusing and merging with Kami. And not just that, but additionally, he trained in the time chamber and surpassed Super Vegeta from his initial time in, as well as Trunks, which I talked about in another video you guys can see in the top right corner about who would win between Cell Games Piccolo and Super Vegeta from the first day in. I also talk about comparing them at the Cell Games, where they weren't too far apart at that point either. And Piccolo trained for 7 years on top of that, guys. So this Piccolo here is still surprised by the power of Goten and Trunks on display. We see him shaking and getting pushed a little bit back by their power. His weighted clothing is flapping in the wind of their power up. So that impression is to show us that two characters are really powerful, and not just that, but the two of them, are even surprising Piccolo, who at this point should be at least somewhat comparable, I would think, to Perfect Cell after 7 years of training. And someone in the neighborhood of the Supreme Kai who was able to restrain Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and at the same time was able to fight against Buu. Although you can make the argument that he was stronger than Piccolo based upon a number of things. I also talked about in another video in the top right corner where I said who would win between Supreme Kai and Piccolo in the Buu saga. That's 4, guys. I got 1 more. Let's see. I think, unless I did have 5, and counting is not as easy as I expected. Another comparison that we can make is during the fight between Gohan, Supreme Kai, and Buu. Now, when Gohan jumps in to protect the Supreme Guy, yes, Supreme Guy, hashtag Supreme Guy in the comments, we see that he's able to kick Fat Buu and knocks him back slightly, where he does a cartwheel, he pops that cheek back into place, because this guy might as well be made of rubble gum. Jeez. Because this guy might as well be made of bubble gum, and it barely does anything to him. Now, interestingly, we see when Trunks goes to attack Fat Buu, what happens? He knocks him back much further, including through mountains. And this is also a Buu who theoretically is using more power than he did against Gohan and Dabura and such, because of the fact that he's fighting against Majin Vegeta right here as a Super Saiyan 2, who is far more powerful than either of those characters. Now, with that being said, in terms of their power compared to Piccolo, who I showed before, we do see that when Super Buu returns back into, we do see that after the fusion of Goten and Trunks as Gotenks defuses within side of Super Buu, they do turn back into Bootanks, or rather, they turn back instead into Buu-Icolo, as we could see. So you could argue that that means that Piccolo is more powerful than individually Goten and Trunks, but you could also argue perhaps that Piccolo just has way more mass than Goten and Trunks because, he's like 7'3", whereas the two of them are like, 3 foot tall. And as a result, you can make that argument, but I would tend to say that it probably means that Piccolo is stronger than each of them individually. Okay. Now, where is this? Where is this panel? Here we go. Now, after this, we see that Goten and Trunks not only get strong, Now we see after this that Goten and Trunks only get stronger from here, because the two of them enter into the hyperbolic time chamber, room of spirit and time, the Rosat as you will. And during this time, they train for 2 weeks inside the chamber, and they are able to increase their power seemingly significantly, to whereas Gotenks, they're able to achieve Super Saiyan 3 on top of the fusion as it was. And we're told when the two of them transform into Gotenks through the fusion that they're far more powerful than they were before, or at least they seem to be a good amount more, that they've really powered up a lot according to Piccolo, and he thinks that they actually stand a chance against this much stronger version of Super Buu. Who he just told to Krillin before is actually weaker. Who he just told to Krillin before means that Goten and Trunks, when they were Gotenks as a Super Saiyan, wouldn't have stood any chance against Super Buu before this. And yet at this point, after training for just 2 weeks inside the chamber, these two were able to increase their fusion enough in its power, which most likely means that they're able to also increase their own power to where they can, in fact, stand a chance against Super Buu. And this is just in their base form, keep in mind, guys. So the base form, we don't really know what the we don't really know what the fusion multiplier is overall quite just yet. For me, I tend to think that the fusion multiplier is the maximum power of the two fighters that fuse together and maybe multiply that by 2 times or something like that, and that becomes the base form. So if that's the case, then this would mean that base Gotenks is only about 4 times stronger than Goten or Trunks individually, who at this point had trained together and made their powers equivalent. And not just that, but another thing that led to Goten and Trunks getting so powerful is something that a lot of people might not think of when it comes to the motivation. And that would have to be what happened right before the two of them went in, where Chi-Chi walked over to Super Buu and hit him because the fact that she was enraged and caught up in her emotions after her son, in her eyes, had been killed by Buu, because she didn't know at this point that Gohan was still alive. At this point, Buu uses the candy beam to turn her into an egg and then smashes her, which in turn causes Goten and Trunks to freak out, and especially Goten, who gets so enraged that he was right about to fight against Buu. Not quite sure where I put that panel. But I'll find it in the manga itself. Oh, hold on. I think maybe I just had it here because I knew that this was going to be, here we go. After this, Goten is fully committed to going into the time chamber, and we see what occurs is that Goten proceeds to train the second they get in there, whereas Trunks was going to take it softly. Goten is going all out from the start to power himself up because he wants revenge against Buu. He wants to kill him and stop him for everything that he had just done, killing his brother in his eyes, and then killing his mother right in front of him in a really graphic way, graphic for a vegan if you don't like when you see eggs getting broken. And then we saw that he went all out, and Trunks, well, he says right here, he went right in there to follow Goten. He says, I can't let you pull ahead. So I assume that both of them trained extremely hard at this point in the time chamber for those 2 weeks, not only individually, but then as fusions, but then as their fusion Gotenks. And so by the time that they fuse together into Gotenks, they are multiple times stronger, perhaps, individually than when they went in. Not to mention that the two of them, especially Goten, not to mention that you could try and make an argument that maybe Goten would have had a bigger boost overall, especially since he had to catch up to Trunks because he didn't train in gravity up until this point. But we have seen that the hyperbolic time chamber seems to have greater overall ability to increase the gains and boosts than just typical gravity training. So you can make an argument that it's because the various different aspects of the chamber in terms of the overall, let's say, so you can make an argument that could be because inside the chamber, the air quality, the different factors of temperature, things like that, are so strenuous that they make you get a greater increase. And I actually talked about that in a video with Jack's Blade. You guys can see in the top right corner about what the greatest training method is, the best one overall in Dragon Ball Z. So check that out. I think that's 5, guys. So we're all done here with the number of cards I can do. Come on, YouTube, give me more cards. That's only 5. I have hundreds of cards I can use in every video. It'd be nothing but me pointing to the top right corner. And rest in peace, everyone who takes a shot every time I point to the top right corner. Don't blame me. You're the one doing it. Let's see, where is this? Now, another thing to keep in mind is that earlier on in the Buu saga, before Goten and Trunks started training in the Time Chamber, Goku fought Fat Buu as a Super Saiyan 3. During this, we saw the power of Fat Buu, or at least we saw some of it, because he never truly goes all out in any of his fights, up until the point to where he fights against Evil Buu. And we saw that Goku, you know, he was certainly trying a little bit here, even though he was mainly stalling. After all, you know, I discussed in another video you guys can see on my channel, because I ran out of cards, about who would actually win between the two of them if they continue to fight. He was just waiting for Trunks to get his Dragon Radar so that they'd be able to wish people back who were killed by Buu. Let's see. Now, after this point, Goku tells Buu that... Now, after this point, we see a scene in which Goku tells Piccolo... Now, after this point, we see a scene in which Piccolo tells... Now, after this point, we see a scene in the manga and anime where Goku explains to Piccolo that he told Buu that someone stronger than him would come to fight against Buu within 2 days, and that, as a result, he should wait, not destroy anything. Now, Goku is saying that Goten and Trunks fused at this point would be stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and he didn't know that they were going to become Super Saiyan 3 either. Hell is that panel? Here we go. So that means that when... Nope, not that one. Almost there. Here we go. So that means that he's most likely referring to the power of this character right here, Gotenks, when Goten and Trunks' Super Saiyans fuse together into the initial Super Saiyan Gotenks. And so you can make an argument that Gotenks right here is stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who fought against Fat Buu, and not just that, but additionally is more powerful, and not just that, but additionally could have possibly been able to defeat Fat Buu, which I'll be discussing in a separate video. Which means that when Goten and Trunks fuse together, and according to Piccolo, they've powered up a lot. This means as a Super Saiyan in the subsequent forms, he's that much more powerful than Goku as a Super Saiyan 3, especially when he goes into his Super Saiyan 3 form, which is, you know, going to be 4 times stronger than Super Saiyan 2, and that's going to be 2 times stronger than the Super Saiyan at the time that transforms into it. And we know that Buu is way stronger than Fat Buu was. I actually discussed in another video you guys can see on my channel, How Strong is Gotenks in Dragon Ball Z, where I broke it down that Gotenks could be somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to over 100 times stronger than Goku, depending upon if you actually take it to heart that possibly the base Gotenks would be able to defeat Fat Buu. But I do kind of feel like when Piccolo says that maybe he stands a chance, that he's actually just referring to Super Saiyan Gotenks if the two of them were at their full power, even though at this point he doesn't actually know that they could turn into a Super Saiyan at this point. And, you know, not just that, but Gotenks also, you know, he isn't really able to do anything to this Buu at this point. But again, this Buu is a lot stronger. So if you take it to heart that they as base are stronger than Fat Buu was, according to their words and what Piccolo seems to be implying in one particular point of view you could look at it, then that means that they individually are way more powerful than they were before, and as a fusion are vastly more powerful than Goku even as a Super Saiyan 3 in maybe even their base form, which is crazy to think about, but I feel like that might be going a little bit too far in some ways. Wait, don't edit which part out? How long into the video am I right now? Wow, 30 minutes. Damn. I did not expect this video to last this long, but, you know, when I edit it, it'll probably be 20 something. So, you know, this is a lot longer, but hey, that's the thing. You know, some people think I'm stretching my videos out, but as you guys can see right here live on Laughingstock Media Monday, sometimes I just keep talking and talking, and then I'm like, wow, has it been, I don't know, 15 minutes, 10 minutes yet? Nope, it's been over a half an hour. So, Mike, why are your videos so long? You could see exactly why right now. Now, we never see Goten and Trunks going Super Saiyan 2s individually. There's an argument to be made that they can't do it individually, which is very odd for a fusion that can transform into a Super Saiyan 3, and you would assume that he can go Super Saiyan 2, right? But with that being said, the fact that they have such power and such potential to be able to do this as a fusion, and they're that much more powerful than even Goku, where they could scream a hole in reality and fight against Super Buu and are actually getting the benefit of him. You can even see Goku right here saying he doesn't believe it. It took him years to master Super Saiyan 3, and they learned it in no time. Goku's sweating right here looking at the power of the two of them on display. So again, yet another indication that their power is so incredible. Much like when Goku reacts later on when Gohan turns into his ultimate state, and we could see Goku's utterly shocked by the power. We see the exclamation points. We see that he's just gasping with being impressed by his son. And we see then down here that he's totally blown away when Gohan is saying, this is amazing. And he's like, it is amazing, more than I'd imagined. So again, it's kind of shown that the next generation multiple times is right about to catch up to Goku and Vegeta, even after all their intense training, and then inevitably surpasses them, with Gohan surpassing Goku here as ultimate, bringing out all of his potential that he arguably ever would have used at this continuity state. And then also, of course, Gotenks not only here. The hell's the Super Saiyan 3 one? I just had this on my screen. Oh, I used the same one. But also here as a Super Saiyan 3 when he shows it off inside the hyperbolic time chamber room of Spirit and Time. When he uses it inside the hyperbolic room of Spirit and Time chamber. Hold on. When he uses it inside of the hyperbolic time... Damn it. What did I just say? Okay. When he uses it inside... I gotta do it like straight face, like Leslie Nielsen. When he uses it inside of the hyperbolic room of Spirit and Time chamber. And for a lot of people who might think that Goku is over-exaggerating or overestimating the power of these two characters when they fuse, I went too far. I think I went too far in some places. You know, George Lucas line, can't go wrong there. Oh, almost there. You know, I think I actually... trying to think. where this is in the manga. Where is this in the manga? The mangaka. Here we go. Almost there. So you gotta like memorize the manga to be able to figure out where certain things are sometimes, especially with you know, the way I have it set up on my computer. And of course I do own all the manga. That's, you know, how I got this, and this is also like a fan coloration translation. That's why it's a little bit messed up. So everything I'm doing here, 100% fair use. See, there's a line where Goku mentions fusion, and so I'm going to show that on the screen, then I'm going to explain why Goku's an expert in fusion. That's the whole reason I'm doing this, by the way. So, you know, I got to have those receipts, as, you know, my collaborator, Young Rippa, says. If you guys haven't seen that video, you can check out on my channel what Western comics can learn from anime and manga. Here we go. And we have to remember Goku is actually an expert on Metamoran fusion, because the fact that he actually met some Metamorans in the afterlife when he was there, and they taught him about fusion and how to do the technique when he was dead. And he saw just how the two of them, who were maybe not that powerful individually, when they combined together, they would have been able to be vastly more powerful, and as a result able to do things like, for example, where Goku is talking about Goten and Trunks, and why he believes that the two of them would be more powerful than even himself as a Super Saiyan 3, which I think is more than backed up by what we see in the anime and manga. You guys think it would be overkill for me to bring up the Android 18 fight? Because I was thinking about doing that, but I feel like everything else I showed is way more impressive than that fight. I feel like I'm too far ahead. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to collab with Young Rippa again. Maybe at some point in the future. You know, I talked to him about some of that stuff behind the scenes, but I'm not going to talk about it publicly because, you know, I don't really know if that's something I should. You know, I'll just cut it in. It's not a big deal. I'm the person who edits the videos anyway. And also, earlier on the Buu saga, we saw that Goten and Trunks were fighting while disguised as Mighty Mask against Android 18 in the World's Martial Arts Tournament during that battle royal. And the two of them actually weren't doing too bad against her when they were in just their base forms, to the point to where they actually shot a blast, and Android 18 was shocked by the power of the blast and started to think that she needed to take things way more seriously. Not just that, but additionally, when the two of them became Super Saiyans, she just didn't even attempt to fight them. Instead, she threw a Destructo Disc that she got from her husband and went right through Goten and Trunks' clothing, which in turn revealed them, and then they had to flee. So I think it's pretty clear that because they were able to surprise her as much as they did by just fighting her as base form, that the fact that when they went Super Saiyan, they probably would have easily beaten her, which I showed all throughout the course of this video, with them doing far more impressive things along the way. Okay guys, so in this video, I went in depth as to why Goten and Trunks are way more powerful. Okay guys, so in this video, I went in depth explaining and showing why Goten and Trunks are way more powerful than most people in this fandom believe. A lot of people think that they're on the level of like Goku on Namek as a Super Saiyan are weaker, but a lot of that comes down to the fact that they're kids, and so people underestimate them. And additionally, it's hard for them to suspend their verisimilitude or their suspension of disbelief because of the fact that they do not see the journey of Goten and Trunks achieving this. They just assume, oh, these are kids, who became Super Saiyan, so they probably have a really weak base form, and thus in turn are not actually able to really match up to the other characters. And the only reason they're even slightly strong is because of Super Saiyan. But when you actually look at all the evidence, you look at the statements, the fights, everything that we see these two characters do in the original storyline, the two of them are far more powerful than most people make out. In turn, funny enough, would probably solo the Cell Saga, at least up until the Cell games, in just their Super Saiyan forms when they're first introduced. Even when Goten can't even fly, he would still be able to one-shot semi-perfect Cell probably, which is pretty crazy to think about. And they only get that much more powerful when they go into the Time Chamber, where you can argue that maybe they're comparable to the adult Super Saiyans at that time, and who even knows at that point. In Dragon Ball Super, maybe they've gotten stronger, but there hasn't been a lot of focus on their characters, so I'll be interested to see where they actually go in the future. We know at the end of Dragon Ball Z in the manga and the anime that Goten is training with Goku, so it's entirely possible that the two of them became that much stronger by the end. However, we'll have to learn a little bit more about that when it's revealed in the future. But alright guys, alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and enable all notifications if you're new here. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Additionally, make sure to leave a like, share your own thoughts down below in the comments, share this video out. Thanks for everyone for watching this whole time. You guys are awesome, and make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future. Okay, wow, that was a much longer video than I expected, but hey. Overall, I think that's the case. So, yeah, I'm going to cut that down a little bit. I guess it might be over 30 minutes after all, but, this was a big misconception, I suppose. So let's just go all in, all out, and, do my best here to explain in depth why these two characters are way more powerful than most people think. Okay, so let's see what you guys are talking about. I know I haven't been looking too much at the chat for the past many minutes, so hopefully you guys were entertained by that. Okay, let's see. Like I said, I can't really talk about what Ripa and I might do in the future, but I definitely want to work with him again. Let's see. Yeah, I talked about the 18 fight a little bit. I mean, in terms of making videos, like if you want to know what I use OBS right now to do the stream and to record. Usually I just record my videos in OBS like this. And even when I'm not live. And not just that, but additionally, for editing, I use Adobe Audition for the audio, and I use Adobe Premiere for the video. And then, sometimes I've used After Effects. I use Encoder for like sending out my videos and exporting them and stuff like that. So yeah, use a lot of different softwares. But that's what I prefer. I mean, in the past, I tried other softwares, Final Cut. Like, you can even get, like, free software. Like, if you have a Mac, I think it comes with iMovie. I don't have a Mac, though. I built my own computer. What do you guys think about the video, by the way? Let me know. Interested to hear your thoughts. I see Xavier, you say that you don't think that either of them is stronger than 18. But, first off, that's 18 after potentially years of training. She seems way more powerful than she was, in the Cell Saga for sure, because the fact that she's doing things that put her vastly above that. I mean, everyone on Team Universe 7 seems to be stronger than Super Saiyan God, which is... That's just Dragon Ball Super scaling for you. If anyone can even compare to base Goku, they're stronger than Super Saiyan God from Battle of Gods, which means that they can all destroy the universe. But who knows if they thought about that. Let's see. Yeah, and the reason why they weren't in the Tournament of Power actually wasn't their power level. From what it said, I think Vegeta was like, "Oh, they're just kids. They shouldn't be a part of this," which is really dumb because, you know, I'll it's a whole can of worms, like I said before. And I should be releasing the edited version of this video tomorrow. I was thinking about recording another video, but I don't know. That video took a little while, and I'd rather just get a head start on editing it. People always love when I talk about Dragon Ball Super scaling, don't they? They always, you know, there's so many people. Even now, it seems like they're just totally fine with how Super does the scaling and a bunch of other things. But I mean, it really comes down to priorities, I guess. You know, like what's your priority when you watch a show? Like with Dragon Ball, for example, is power scaling like on the bottom? Do you not care about power scaling at all? You just want to see your favorite characters fighting like their action figures? Then sure. If the logic behind the fights does not matter to you, then who cares about the power scaling and stuff like that, right? But if the logic of the fights do matter to you, then as a result, it becomes a lot harder to enjoy them. That's why for me, like a lot of times I go and watch other anime, and people are like, check all these awesome fights in like Attack on Titan, or check out some of these awesome fights in Demon Slayer or something like that. But then many of these awesome fights end in anticlimaxes, and so it's like, am I supposed to enjoy this fight because it just feels completely pointless other than getting cool animation on the screen? But even then, you know, that's, again, a lot of people could just watch anime because they like the animation and they think that the Sakuga is really cool. But for me, I don't really... I mean, most stories I watch, like, sure, if I'm going to watch animation, I want really good animation and, you know, like I want quality soundtrack and voice acting and direction, all that stuff for sure. But when it comes to other things, you know, those are way more important to me, essentially, in terms of like, is the story and the characters compelling? Does it make sense what I'm watching? And there are things, I mean, it's Dragon Ball at the end of the day. Like, I could suspend my disbelief plenty. You know, like these are characters that scream and they get so strong they could blow up the universe. Like, you know, like they go, ah, and they fire a blast out of their hand that could blow up a galaxy, you know, like it's ridiculous. But like I could suspend my disbelief for some of that, but you know, I need things that make some, like it needs to make mostly sense, you know? Like it needs to be mostly something I can like not get annoyed watching because it doesn't make any sense or the powers are so undefined. You know, that's part of like the thing with me with trying to get into One Piece, you know, like I watch it sometimes and I try and watch it more and more. I keep trying to get into it, but you know, when like Luffy and a lot of these characters' powers are so like ambiguous early in the show, at least where I am, then it's kind of hard for me to enjoy and invest in it as much because it's like one thing can hurt Luffy and then another thing can't. Sometimes the exact same thing can hurt him and then, you know, the next second it won't. So it's like, it's a little hard for me to get into it because I don't, you know, you need to know your characters are in peril for there to be stakes and tension, right? You know, you need to know that there is a chance something bad can happen. And if you have no idea what the stakes are compared to everything happening at the time, then yeah, like how can you really get invested if you don't even know how strong A is compared to B and if C can stand a chance and like if this power can do this or that. That's why like Hunter x Hunter and JoJo have way better power scaling because everything is explained to you and you know pretty much at all times how strong somebody is relative to another. There are certain abilities and hacks that let them beat other people and so on, but you know, overall I would say that that stuff is very important. And yeah, I do watch Castlevania. I think it's really good. I think it tries a little too hard to be edgy, and it does have some of that Netflix stuff shoved in there, but, you know, especially in the either second or third season with some of the whatever, Cruella DeVille, some of the evil female vampires team and stuff, if you know what I'm talking about. But and then in season 3, you know, like the girl who's like leading the underground resistance, who looks just like every single, you know, insert character nowadays. But nonetheless, aside from that, I do think it's really good overall, and season 3 had some awesome stuff in it. I really like what's his name, the bald character, the one who used to work for Dracula. He might be my favorite character in the show. But I do like Belmont and his wife. I forget what her name is. Oh, Xavier DeGod, thank you so much for your super chat. You asked, rate these techniques from least to most favorite. Spirit Ball, Destructo Disc, Neo Tri-Beam, Special Beam Cannon, Final Flash, and Spirit Bomb. Well, okay, let's see. Ranking the 5 techniques for $5. Thank you so much. I would have been able to get a foot-long sub at Subway years ago, maybe about 10. Yeah, Isaac, that's who it is. I think he's a pretty awesome character. Let's see, Xavier, you asked. So, if I were to rank them, okay, let's go from 5 to 1. Number 5, Spirit Ball. Don't really care about that move. Number 4. Actually, you have 6, so let's redo this. Top 6 of the forms of the techniques that you mentioned. Spirit Ball would be the worst for me. The next one would probably be Tri-Beam. I mean, I guess it depends on what we're talking about here, right? Like Tri-Beam, the Neo Tri-Beam, it's a cool move, I guess, but like Tien uses it like once or twice. You know, he doesn't really do it a lot. And, you know, Tri-Beam kills him when he uses it, so it's kind of a terrible technique in some ways, but in good in other ways, because I talked about in a video you guys can't see in the top right corner. If he could defeat the androids. Next one would be Final Flash. I mean, it's just a big ki blast. You know, I can even argue that's worse than like the Tri-Beam, but it's cool. And when Vegeta uses it, it's pretty awesome. Next up would probably be Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb is like an okay ability. Like it's too reliant on like getting energy from like other sources. It makes the person really weak during that period of time. And then like the attack, it's just like a big ball of blue energy, like Genki, which is effective against one enemy ever. Like it never beats anyone other than Buu. And I think that's just because Toriyama couldn't think of a better idea. Next one, Destructo Disc, maybe. Yeah, Destructo Disc. I mean, Destructo Disc isn't really as effective as it should be. Like, it's an ability that should be able to kill every villain, basically, except for, like, Buu and Cell and, like, Regenerators, and somebody who could theoretically, like, absorb it or stop it, I guess, like a Moro. But, yeah, it's a cool move, and it's really effective, but it never really does anything. Like, he never beats anyone with it. And then you could say the Special Beam Cannon, the Makanko Sapo, or the Light of Death would be my number one out of those that you mentioned, because not only does it look awesome, but Piccolo and Gohan actually beat villains with it. Piccolo killed Raditz and Goku at the same time. The first fight where he used, I was going to say the first time, but we know that isn't the case. And then Gohan killed Cell Max with it. And also, not just that, but Piccolo was able to help defeat the Universe 6 Namekians using the Special Beam Cannon. So I would say it's probably the most effective out of all the moves on this list, like in terms of actually defeating people, because none of the other moves, aside from the Spirit Bomb and the Yeah, none of the other moves aside from the Spirit Bomb actually beat anyone. The Spirit Bomb only beat movie characters and, in the manga, only beat Buu, which I just mentioned before. So yeah, there's my list. Let me heart your super chat. Let me make sure I hearted all the other super chats. I don't know what that does. Do you guys get like a notification that I hearted your chats? Also in general, do you guys get a notification if I do that? Because like when I heart or love somebody's chat or whatever it is, I don't know if you guys get any notifications about that. Oh, we got another super chat from Big Cheese Jr. Awesome. Every time I see her name, I want to like, makes me want to go get like a Baconator Jr. or something, but I'm trying really hard on my diet right now. I'm already dropping weight again, definitely getting thinner, and I'm going for my all-time lightest weight with my cut right now. I'm doing really good, guys. But Big Cheese Jr., have I heard of the JRPG series called Persona? Yeah. I have not yet played it, though. Is it one that I should play from the start? Does it have like a kind of recurring story? Or is it one that I should perhaps just play Persona 5? Because I have the Switch. I don't know if Persona's on Steam or anything, but you guys can know that. We get notifications when you like our chats. Okay, cool. Piccolo killed Salza with it. Oh yeah, from the Cooler movie. Did he also destroy some of the robots in the second Cooler movie, and also maybe one of Cooler's bodies with the special beam cannon? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, Phantom. Yeah, you should have told me the Chester Bennington theory earlier, but sure, I'll definitely hear it. I'll actually be right back though, guys. I gotta, hit the John. And everyone enjoy looking at Shin's creepy smile. Or in this case, his derp face. We're going to be seeing a lot of that in Dragon Ball Magic if it actually happens. I'm back. Dun 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 dun. I don't know where I put my sunglasses, or I might have come back with Harold instead. Not me, Harold, because the sunglasses totally make me a different character. I mean, it works for Clark Kent, right? Dragon Ball Magic, more like Dragon Ball Mid, you say. I guess we'll see if it happens. There's a cat cameo right there too. I'm happy every day he doesn't Hakai me or eat all the food in my house like Champa. All right, so let me pop this back up. People keep retracting their messages. If only I knew what they were saying. Do I hit the gym, Laughingstock Media? Not as much as I used to. I used to work out like 3-4 hours a day, like about 10 years ago, back when I was like 280, 300 pounds, you know. I would do split workouts. Like I worked out all the time, you know, because like I always wanted to be jacked, you know. But I got a lot of injuries. Well, not necessarily injuries, but like I got like a lot of accumulated body problems over the course of my lifetime. So it makes it harder for me to work out these days, but I still try to. Like I worked out a little bit in my house earlier. I used to have a home gym. That's part of the problem. I had a home gym and then it flooded, and so all of my weights and stuff got ruined. And you know, so I can't really hit the bench as much and stuff. And I honestly hate going to like the gym because like I don't like other people. I just don't like when other people like take everything, you know, like every time I want to go hit the bench, here's a line of 15 guys. Every time I want to lift the weights, most of them are gone because some joker is like doing curls and then he puts the freaking free weights in front of him and then he gets other ones and does this. It's like, are you using the other ones or are you just taking them because you want to assert your masculine dominance, you know? If I brought Harold in here, you would give me all those weights right now. And then he would eat them because he's got to get that protein. But yeah, I try to work out at home mostly, but most of what I'm doing now is diet. You know, like they say, abs are made in the kitchen. And I think at least about 80% of your weight is based on your diet. So for me, I do a caloric deficit every day. I do, because I'm cutting, you know, I do very low carb, a lot of protein, and I try and, you know, get cardio in, you know, even though Harold hates it. And, you know, when I finally hit my weight goal, then I'm going to start actually putting on muscle. But not until I'm like not until I'm in that range. You know, I already lost like 100 pounds from my heaviest. I think I was like 306 at my heaviest. And, right now I'm 100 pounds lighter than that. So, you know, I still got about 20-ish to go right now. And then I'll hit my weight goal. I'll reassess at that point, you know, which I've done a lot. And then I'll start packing on some more. I think maybe being around 200 of lean muscle would be nice. But like I said, I like to reassess, you know, look in the mirror, see how I'm feeling, everything like that, and then go from it. Well, Mike, in public gyms now, guys want to be making TikToks, women want to record and act like you're staring at them. Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of men doing that in the gym, but girls, yeah, like there's so many that go there, like the influencers are really like the look at my ass club, and they like, it's funny, there have been some channels that have exposed them recently where it's like this is what they're doing. Like so many guys follow them. Like you look on Instagram, these people have hundreds of thousands of followers just because they take scantily clad pictures and at the gym, and like they're wearing like the tightest yoga outfit ever, and they can objectify themselves. But if you look at them, well, a lot of them have an issue. But you know, the thing is, it's like some people say, you know, Coach Corey Wayne or somebody, you know, it's like these people are clearly dressed in this way because they're advertising themselves, you know. Otherwise, they would dress in like, you know, like a lot of guys do. Like when I would go to the gym, I would dress in a hoodie and like sweatpants and stuff because I wanted to sweat while I was working out. But you know, I would still be lifting weights and stuff the whole time. Sometimes I'd wear multiple layers just to sweat extra. I mean, they have a sauna at my gym that I go to sometimes, but again, do I want to get in a sauna with like 12 other guys in there that are like sweating all over the place? Like, yeah, no. I'd rather just work out on my own. That's why sometimes I used to go to the gym at like 11, 1 in the morning, because like, aside from crazy people like me who go to the gym at that late, there wouldn't be a lot of people there. So I actually had a chance to do what I wanted there without the constant obfuscation. You got this, even if someone is a biscuit or too heavy. Yeah, I lost enough weight as it is in terms of that, so I feel like I could definitely do it. It's not even a question. It's a matter of me just doing it, and everyone can theoretically do it, right? Like if you just try hard, like some people have some kind of like health issues that make it hard to lose weight. It took a long time for me to finally master that, but, really it mostly comes down to your diet and trying to be a little bit active. Even just doing stuff around the house, push-ups, sit-ups, lifting free weights, you know, uh, you can make yourself lose the weight. Or if you have money, you could get liposuction, which I've certainly heard of people doing. And then you probably have to pay a bunch of extra money to get rid of all the gross loose skin. If only they could convert the loose skin when you lose a lot of weight into muscle, like, or protein. They can like take it out and turn it into protein, inject it into you, and then you would, get jacked. But that's not how reality works. Not yet. Who do I like the most? Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, or Michael Myers? Michael Myers. Halloween is probably my favorite horror movie of all time. I like The Shape. I think he's that perfect prototypical slasher villain. He's not the first one. You could say like Norman Bates or somebody like that, but like Michael Myers, yeah, I love the simplicity in a sense of the character, but also just like the look of him, the story. I mean, a lot of his movies are terrible, but you could say that about Jason and Freddy too. And really all these characters. Jigsaw, if you want to count him as like a horror slasher villain, Scream guy. So, Michael Myers for me is my favorite of the bunch. Probably going to wrap it up soon, though, guys. I have been going for over 2 hours now, and I've noticed they keep going really long, longer than I expected. Pause. But, if you guys want to ask me some more questions before I wrap it up right here, I'll try and answer some more of them for a few more minutes, and then we will probably say goodnight for this edition of LSM Monday, because I am planning to do these more often. And also, I have like that LSM Midnight Run, which I'm not sure yet if I'm going to keep, not unpublishing, unlisting them, or if maybe I will in the future, maybe in the future I'll do, just public ones. One thing I want to do is actually I'm going to do some more live streams in the future just randomly, and I'm going to have them be LSM non-canon streams. So basically anything I want can happen on them, which I mean that happens on all my streams, but it's going to be a lot more probably a lot more off the cuff in some ways, and it's going to be non-canon, so those will disappear the second they're off. Okay, let's take a look one more time. Not this one. This one's too close. Also, I realized I forgot this one actually works better when I use this view. Maybe adding some more views. You guys saw this creepy one here today, the derpy one. But I'm going to add some more views on here in the future. If I can even find this. What the heck is it? Here we go. Okay. Most of the battle that comes from weight loss is mental, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, overcoming those urges to eat bad is really hard. When I was really in the thick of it, like, I stopped doing cheat days entirely because they just slowed me down, and because I just was getting annoyed with the fact that I wasn't making the progress I wanted to. And so, I made even more self-control in that sense. And so every time I would go back to eating bad food, like fast food or just like normal food that I used to eat every day, I didn't like it as much. Like, I used to eat chips and salsa every day. I used to go to Domino's a lot. I used to like, I would go out to eat like every single day, and I realized I wasted so much money doing that too. And most people this generation, they don't understand that. They waste so much money going out and getting food when they could cook multiple meals for the same amount of money that it costs to get like a chicken sandwich combo from Popeyes, or, get like a medium pizza and then 2 little things on the side from Domino's. You can freaking make multiple pizzas on your own exactly the way you want them at home, and then have like other stuff on the side for days, for the exact same amount of money that you would just buying Domino's. So that's why I rarely ever get food anymore, except for Taco Bell. By the way, Taco Bell, I know you're not watching me, but if you were, send me an email. You got my email on my channel. I'll eat Taco Bell on stream. Just give me one of those cards where I can have Taco Bell for free for the rest of my life. One of those like Taco Bell credit cards. And come on, let's do this. All the Baja Blast I could drink. Baja Blast Zero, though. They better have it in stock, because most of the time they don't. It really pisses me off. I mean, I could literally get spiked Mountain Dew, Baja Blast Zero, and a bunch of other varieties down the street, So if I could, get the not alcoholic one, because I have to drive home, then yeah. Yeah. Okay. Already answered the, you asked me, am I married? Is that an invitation? I'll just repeat what I said earlier, because you probably weren't here when I said it. Well, I think it's the worst Halloween movie. You really think 2009 is the worst? I thought Halloween Kills was so much worse. I haven't seen Halloween Ends, even though I do have Peacock, but yeah, I thought Halloween Kills is terrible. And I also don't like Halloween Resurrection. That one for me was the worst one. Maybe the remakes are the worst too, if you want to count them. I don't know. Halloween has not... I thought 2009 was fine, but... it was definitely better than Curse of Michael Myers, but yeah. At a Walmart I went to when I was on vacation like a month or two ago, they had the spiked ones there. What Dragon Ball character is your favorite fighting style? I mean, it's hard to say because most of them just tend to have like the same generic fighting style because they don't have as much originality as they used to. But I mean, it's kind of hard to go wrong with like a master like Roshi, or even, early Tien, because they were more distinct, and Roshi has way more fighting styles. I mean, Goku's fighting style used to be way more dynamic back in the original Dragon Ball. But, usually when it comes to the movies, they tend to have more dynamic moves and motion in them because they tend to have more choreography mapped out. So yeah, I would say it really depends. I guess sometimes Goku can have really fun, interesting fights, and then there's a lot of characters that just have generic styles. But yeah, like probably Roshi, because he just has so many different techniques and abilities he can use. It's like, watching Karate Kid. My favorite character is Mr. Miyagi. Like, obviously the actor was limited in what he could do compared to like some of the other actual martial artists and stuff, but he's like the best character for me in terms of like when he fights, not only does he handle himself, but not just that, he gives the wisdom along the way. It's like Yoda in Star Wars. Yeah, home cooking is definitely better. My favorite Saiyan, Gohan or Future Trunks. My cat's name, Penny. He is not a clown, though, or an evil demon from another dimension, as far as I can tell. Did GT do anything right? Well, you could actually see 10 things that GT did right on my channel in a video I did. Yamcha had a cool fighting style. Yeah, I agree. That fight with him and Tien is great. Probably my favorite Yamcha fight. I mean, almost undoubtedly his best one. I'm sure a lot of people like him fighting the Ginyu Force, though. And the Cyberman for all the people who don't like Yamcha. Halloween Resurrection isn't that bad besides the beginning. I just don't like anything about it. I don't like the one of the things is when you're a YouTuber, you become very critical of movies and depictions of YouTube and streamers and stuff like that because you know how it actually works. You have very intimate knowledge of it. So when you watch a movie and it's like, look at this. This is like a YouTube guy. And then he has like all the likes look wrong and like it's not working the way it actually does in reality. And like the UI is totally different. And it's like most of the time for me, it's kind of cringe. That was one of the things I guess maybe I didn't like too much about the Riddler in the Batman, that like they made him into like, they tried to make him, he's like the Zodiac killer or something. So I really like the realism that Paul Dano brought to the role in that sense. But at the same time, I don't really care for like the YouTube depiction basically. And like, I just feel like Hollywood doesn't really understand YouTube and streaming and stuff like that. So it always kind of just seems cringe when you watch it. It's kind of like an old person's idea of what YouTube is that they saw from like watching 2 videos. So yeah, I don't like that in Halloween Resurrection where it's like, we're going to do a live stream of this house. It's like the real world, but with like Michael Myers' house and Kung Fu. And it's like, ugh. And then Busta Rhymes beats up Michael Myers and Kung Fu's him out the window. And his mask looks terrible in that movie too. Some of the movies, his mask just looks like garbage. Like you can tell they didn't know how to direct it. And they just didn't reuse the same mask for some reason. Whereas I think in Halloween 2009, they actually did. Say what you will about that movie, but, Nick Castle came back and they, had the original characters. And I mean, I don't really like the fact that Michael Myers just did nothing for like 30 something years in prison or whatever. And then he just so happened to show up, but there's lots of issues. Has some of the best shots in the series too, like that one take where Michael Myers goes around the back of the house and comes in and kills the woman who had just shut her blinds. Like there's some great scenes in that movie. H2O had the CGI mask. I don't remember the mask being CGI, but I do remember it looking weird. Also has one of the worst fake out deaths ever. Especially for Michael Myers. Yeah, thanks. I'm a big fan of my cat too. Here he is again. Also, do you think that key control is oftentimes understated in its importance? Yeah. I'm going to discuss that during our really in-depth video with Plague of Gripes, where he and I broke down how gravity train works. Because we kind of like get into everything, like how key control works, how power-ups work, how like people scale up to other characters. Like there's a million things that we talk about because he and I are on a similar wavelength to a lot of what we think in terms of Dragon Ball. So as a result, when we're talking about these things, we tend to have like really similar viewpoints in a lot of ways. I don't think I agree with everything he says and vice versa, but he's one of the few people I can talk to really in depth as another YouTuber about Dragon Ball, and we can go on for like hours in terms of like, really, I could tell the guy's a writer like I am because he could send me paragraphs and paragraphs, and I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm not the only person who does this. Because I remember when I was first commenting on like Quaman's videos and stuff like that, when I was like a really small channel, and I'm still really small compared to like, the top channels on this platform for sure. But when I was a much smaller channel, I was like commenting on their videos and I would just blocks of text, which I've gotten better at not doing. Although some of the people at my last job definitely didn't like it when I would send long messages, which for me, it's like, that's not even a long message. I write books, like me sending you a few paragraphs is like easy to read. For me, at least. For other people, it's like their eyes just go cross-eyed and stuff like that. Busta Rhymes versus Michael Myers Tenkaichi, who wins? I think that Michael Myers would just stab whoever he's playing at in Budokai Tenkaichi, and then he would win the game. But if you mean in the tournament, well, I mean, all you gotta do is knock Michael Myers out of the ring. You know, Michael Myers is like Spopovich, right? I mean, except probably actually immortal. So aside from like when Paul Rudd hits him next to a bunch of stones. And then, yeah, I feel like most people in Dragon Ball would beat Michael Myers in a tournament because all they have to do is hit him and he falls out of the ring. But then he'll still be alive. So unless they vaporize him, and who knows if he can come back from that. I mean, Jason did. And Freddy does like every movie. And Pinhead too, probably. I mean, vaporizing doesn't usually kill slasher villains, but it might work on Michael Myers. That's what I'm trying to get to. I mean, you know, having Jason laying in a crypt rotting for 10 years and then having maggots in him and then getting stabbed a bunch by a pole still makes it where he can be brought back by a bolt of lightning. So, yeah. Let's see. EFAP. Did they do something with Dragon Ball? Not really sure. I didn't see anything they did Dragon Ball related. Goku's lack of ki controls why Goku and Beerus' first fight was so devastating. He couldn't control his ki and let it go wild. I mean, I guess it depends. Like, were Beerus and Goku the ones destroying the universe? Because when you look at Beerus fighting against Champa, they're destroying the universe when they're fighting in that one, I would say filler, but it's not filler because there's no filler in Super, padding episode where they fight, I think, after or during the baseball game. And, you know, they're destroying the universe, so could be that. And some people, I think, have made the argument that only happens when somebody fights a god of destruction, which makes sense, but, you know, I just assume that Goku doesn't destroy the universe when he powers up right now because of ki control. You know. Yeah, I think I started watching Kwame, I don't know, in 2012, something like that. I remember watching his Yu-Gi-Oh stuff even before he was really doing a lot of Dragon Ball. Because I was big into watching Yu-Gi-Oh channels like that. And then back then, like Asian Eyes, White Dragon, I think was one of the channels. And, you know, I used to watch that. But I was like an old school Yu-Gi-Oh player and fan. But I just stopped caring after GX with the anime and also with the manga or with the card game. I just stopped enjoying it because they changed it so much. I feel like most people who started playing Yu-Gi-Oh when it first came out stopped enjoying it as much. Did I talk to EFAP? What do you mean? Do you mean? I mean, I've talked to a lot of people on YouTube over the years, so yeah, like that's the thing. I'm always talking to more too. Like I reach out to channels I watch, and you know, oh yeah, I forgot he changed his name to Sladra. I don't really watch his stuff as much now, you know, but what is it? Yeah, I mean, I talk to a lot of YouTubers because, like, if I like somebody's channel, a lot of times I reach out to them and see if they want to make a video. So I'm going to have even more people this year on my channel that have never been here that maybe you guys watch. I have a big video coming out maybe at the end of this year where I'm going to have tons of YouTubers on it, including people who've never been on the channel. So I think you guys are going to like that one. It's going to be like a new type of video that I've never done on the channel, but I've always wanted to. I've tried a couple of times, but it's a really in-depth type of video. But when I do it, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy it. It might be my longest non-Q&A or stream type of video as well. We'll have to see after the editing. But I think it's going to be very long because it's going to be probably somewhere in the neighborhood of feature length. MK1 reboot looks good. Yeah, I haven't I've seen a little bit from it. I like fighting games, so I'm sure I'll play it at some point, but I have so many games on my Steam and stuff I haven't even played yet that I really need to. I just fell out of playing video games for a while, but you know, I try and go back depending upon what it is. I haven't even played Starfield yet, and I got that when it came out on I have the Game Pass, so like I wanted to play it, but I don't know. Not really immediately interested right now. I think it's probably because it's a big game that's gonna have a lot of investment, and from some of the gameplay I've seen thus far, it doesn't really seem, I don't know, as compelling as I was hoping. I feel like every game I want to get before it comes out these days ends up just being disappointing. You know, like I pretty much every game I've ever pre-ordered, I feel like ends up not being as good as I wanted. I think the only one that I did that I pre-ordered, well, depending upon what you count, it's like that. Like I pre-ordered like Pokemon Stadium, that was awesome. GTA 5, I pre-ordered and went to the Midnight's release. That was a great game. You know, I have the poster right here. But yeah, like Fallout 4, big disappointment with that. Cyberpunk, big disappointment with that. Starfield, I didn't pre-order it because I was going to play it for free on the Game Pass, free. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Oh, I could play Persona on Game Pass. Yeah, maybe I will at some point. I don't really know if I'm going to do live streaming video games on here much, to be honest. Like, kind of just want these to be like hangout, sometimes recording, sometimes art. Like, I want to do like thumbnails on here sometimes too, like the joy of photoshopping Dragon Ball or something, you know, like do it like Bob Ross. You see that? You see that line right there on the thumbnail and drawing? Well, that's not supposed to be there, but you know, that would just be our secret. Nobody will notice that when it's that thumbnail size, you know. It's a happy accident. I'll just be like tapping the microphone like a ASMR or something like that. Oh yeah, I mean I've definitely seen EFAP from time to time for sure, and I've commented on their stuff. And yeah, Plague is coming out with a video soon. You know, he's doing a really in-depth video. And I think I'm going to help him with another video on his channel at some point. But again, I don't really want to comment on things that other channels haven't like said if I should or not. You know, like, I mean, I'll say whatever I want, but at the end of the day, like, I have respect for these people. So I would rather just let them reveal information at their own time. And yeah, Fallout New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time, probably in my top 5. Maybe I'll do a video at some point about my top 5, breaking them down more in depth. But like Fallout New Vegas is up there, Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Earthbound, Skies of Arcadia Legends. Probably my top 5 in no particular order, but then there's a bunch of other games I played, so I'd probably just do a top 10. A lot of times I do top 5, but you know, yeah, ASMR video editing stream maybe. Like I said, I'm going to be doing some more non-canon streams in the future for sure. Okay, so let's see. Oh, maybe you mean my Plague video now that I think about it. I got so many videos either planned or already recorded that I just haven't put up yet because I've been waiting. You know, like my channel when I was doing the manga series, it really, you know, unfortunately the algorithm was not favorable toward my channel when I was doing that, and so as a result, it made it to where, you know, I had to delay certain videos because it's like, do I want to drop a video that's gonna be not seen by anyone because like I have to rebuild my algorithm essentially, or do I want to release it when the most people will see it, especially like a big video like that? I want to make sure as many people as possible can see it because I don't want a video that is, you know, something I really thought came out great to be like buried and then other videos after it to do better, you know. So that's really a problem with a lot of videos I want to put out, because overall, I want to make sure as many people as possible will see them. And if they don't show it on your home screen, if you don't get the notifications, if you don't get this or that, then as a result, there's a very strong chance you'll never be able to see it, unless you actively search out new videos on my channel. So I would much rather wait on that video until a better time, which might be in the near future. I mean, it is like a 40-something minute video at this point, as far as I can remember, my gravity training one. So it'll be out sooner than later. But when that is, not 100% sure. But all right, guys, with that being said, we've been on for a little while, and this is about the time I think that I usually wrap up my stream. So with that being said, guys, thank you all for tuning in and watching. I always appreciate having you guys on the show, I appreciate putting these shows on, having you guys coming out and watching. I appreciate all the super chats I got here today from Phantom89, Biggie Cheese Jr., Xavier, Anthony. Thank you all so much, and anyone else who might have that's not showing me right now. And with all that being said, thank you all guys for watching. I will see you on the next stream, and make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Thanks a lot, guys.